Hello, welcome everybody in the room and online. This is Southwest Missouri Scores Tuesdays at 2 series. We are here in person at the Ozark Community Branch Library, and we also have some participants online, so welcome to everyone today. I usually get these started with just a little bit of information about SCORE. SCORE is a nationwide nonprofit funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration. And SCORE has services for the life of your business. So from idea to exit. 3 things to remember that SCORE can help you with. The first one is mentoring. That's our core service. So we have volunteer mentors here in Southwest Missouri and across the country. Whatever stage of business you're at, whatever industry you are in, there is a mentor that can help you through that. So if we don't have a mentor here in Southwest Missouri that meets your needs, you have access to mentors across the US. So you can request a SCORE mentor at score.org. The second thing that SCORE does is workshops. So just like the workshop we're in today, here in Southwest Missouri, we do about 3 workshops a month, some in person, some virtual, and some hybrid, just like this. And we also have recorded and live webinars available on the SCORE website. So whatever it is that you're trying to learn, there is probably a SCORE webinar coming up, and the in-person ones are a great way to kind of connect in your community too. So do check out our upcoming workshops from Southwest Missouri SCORE. You can see those at swmissouri.score.org. We've got a couple of really cool ones coming up in just a couple of weeks. One is the neurobiology of making business decisions. That is, say, 2 weeks from today, I believe, 6 p.m. at the Library Center. And then we also have a lunch and learn. So this is not only a learning opportunity, but a free lunch with the Springfield Greene County Office of Emergency Management about thinking through hazard prevention and emergency preparedness. And again, you can sign up for those at swmissouri.score.org. And then the last thing to remember that SCORE can do for you is the templates and resources available on the SCORE website. There are some amazing financial projection templates. If you're trying to do a marketing plan, if you're trying to do a business plan, if you're seeking funding, there is great, reliable information on that website at score.org. All right, that's all I need to say about SCORE today. So I will turn it over to our presenter today, Pamela Hernandez from the Better Business Bureau.
Thank you. I am excited to be here, and I love that. How did you put that from the beginning to the exit of the business?
Idea to exit.
Idea to exit. I love that. I think that's the first time that I have heard that. So I love SCORE though, and I'm really happy to be here on Pi Day.
Yes.
At home, you're missing out. We have pie. I can see it. I'm waiting till after we're done talking to have some pie, but hopefully wherever you are, you're enjoying some pie, whether you're at home or office. So, and I'm sure the pie is really yummy. But pie, like what would happen if you went to the store and you went to get a pie, it's Pi Day, and the box said that the pie could cure the common cold, or the pie could fight exhaustion or improve your concentration. You would think that was pretty wacky, right? I mean, it's pie, it's yummy, but it can't, cure all host of diseases. Well, Better Business Bureau actually kind of started because something very common, something that people think is very yummy, started making all sorts of health claims. Better Business Bureau started in the early 1900s when Coca-Cola said it was a brain tonic. And it could relieve headaches, cure exhaustion, cure fatigue, all of these health conditions, which it obviously could not do. Although Coca-Cola had a very different formulation in the early 1900s than the Coca-Cola we enjoy today, but it still was not medicine, right? So they ended up, of course, in court in Atlanta. That's where Coca-Cola is headquartered. And there was a man in the courtroom named Samuel Dobbs who heard the attorney for Coca-Cola say, while all advertising is exaggerated, nobody believes it. He didn't see a problem with any of this. Now, Dobbs was an ad man. That was his job. So he became very concerned very fast because if he knew that nobody believed advertising, he was going to be out of a job. So he became a very passionate truth in advertising advocate. So BBB started doing a lot of actually some of the same things that we do today. It started with the truth in advertising. So if in doubt, find out, check first with BBB. we want you to do that today. If there's a business you don't know, you want to think about doing business with, go to bbb.org, check them out. Paid advertising, bait and switch. Again, truth in advertising, right? We still a lot of that today. We have ad review. So there's somebody for our region. Our region covers Southwest Missouri, Eastern Missouri, and Southern Illinois. And so a lot of our team is in St. Louis. One of the first BBBs, 1917, was St. Louis. There's somebody that they just look at ads all day, right? So if you ever see any strange ads, send them my way because we like that. And then if you've been a victim of a dishonest business practice, contact Better Business Bureau. And that's what we do a lot of today as well, as we do those disputes. So fast forward to today, our mission to be the leader in advancing marketplace trust. So we're trying to help build this ethical marketplace, help brands build solid reputation by focusing on customer trust and resolving disputes. That's something else we do a lot of, is dispute resolution. And all of our consumer services are free. That includes dispute resolution, having those BBB business profiles. If you're a business and we know about you, we're going to create a profile for you so the consumers can see how long you've been in business and what kind of letter grade we give you. And there's a whole algorithm that could be a whole other topic on how that works. We're actually going to talk a little bit about the letter grade in a minute. Advertising review. Scams. I do a lot of scam education. That's part of the mission too, and community outreach. So doing talks like this, businesses, consumers, that's all part of those free consumer services that BBB offers. And like I said, one of the key things is dispute resolution. So let's see here, technology. There we go. You're not pie. You're not going to make everybody happy. Okay. Problems are going to happen. It's how we handle them that make a difference. And not only are they going to happen, but they are an opportunity. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. That's kind of like life. When everything goes right and everything goes your way, you don't really ever learn anything. It's when we make a mistake, it's when we have a problem that we get to learn and grow. And when you have an unhappy customer, that gives you the same opportunity. What's not going right? So if you start from that place, it makes that process of dealing with unhappy customers better for everybody, you and the customer. So my goal today, as we're talking about some tips for, I hate the word handling. I couldn't think of a better word, working with, dealing with, but handling unhappy customers. My hope is that you come away with one or two best practices that you can, if you're like me, put on a Post-it note, or work with your team if you've got some employees that work with you to say, okay, this is going to be part of our best practice, our DNA. This is how we're going to handle any kind of situation when we come in with a customer who's not happy, who didn't get good service, they're unhappy with the product. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about BBB's dispute resolution process so that you're not caught off guard if somebody files a complaint against your business, and help you understand how that works and why it's important that you respond to those disputes. So let's start with how we work with those unhappy customers. Biggest thing I can say, having had my own business for about 11 years, I know how hard this is because I was a one-woman show, to not take it personally. There are so many things happening to an individual outside of that problem that's fueling their response, has absolutely nothing to do with you or your business. So to take a step back and remember, it's about a problem, it's about a situation, it's about whatever is going on in that person's world, and say, you know what, I'm gonna be professional, I'm gonna stay calm. That is the most important thing that you can do. Just take a deep breath. Don't make it worse. Don't start now compounding the problem by acting unprofessionally. Consumer just wants to know that you're willing and able to help. That's the most important thing, that you're willing to step up and be the professional that you are and solve that problem. This goes for any kind of written response as well. Unfortunately, I have seen way too many business responses, not just BBB, but in other online platforms, people engaging in some pretty nasty responses to a customer's complaint or review, using profanity, That's not positive for your business either. So you've got to keep it on a professional level, even when it's your baby, even when it's, you work so hard, you try so hard. Just remember, there are other things going on in a person's world. So start there. Then sympathize, because we've all been there. We've all had to call customer service multiple times on a problem. We've all had a flight canceled and you're 10 people back at the gate trying to get on the next flight. We've all been in that situation. And I know, I will admit it, that I get very armored up when I make that call, right? I am ready for battle. Like, I've done this, I know what's gonna happen. Nothing makes somebody put their armor down quicker than you're right. You shouldn't be having to deal with this. You shouldn't be experiencing this. I'd be upset too, right? I know I've been surprised in those situations where it's like, oh, you hear me. Now, you don't have to necessarily agree with their side of the problem at this point. This is just about staying open and realizing that in that moment, their emotions are running high and empathizing with that emotion. Because again, we have all been there. So just try to stay in that mindset of, I'm going to listen, I'm not going to get defensive, I'm going to stay open. This is a shared experience. And then apologize. Yeah, it requires saying I'm sorry sometimes. No qualifiers, no ifs. If you want to learn more about a good apology, is it Harriet Lerner that writes? I think she has she's written a lot of books, but I think she talks about how to make a good apology. So I'm sure the librarians here can help you find that book, by the way. Keep it simple, keep it sincere, and keep it about facts. In my professional career, I had a big chunk of time where I worked in banking. And I was very adamant with my teller staff to never use the word policy, to just generically say, it's our policy. If you want to see somebody turn red and get irate fast, just give them the generic, it's our policy. You can state the facts of your position. This happened because on the receipt, it says no refunds after 30 days. Those are facts. That's something you can clearly show. This is this is the position of the company. This is how we do business. You're not saying they're wrong. You haven't told them you can't do anything yet, but you can say, I'm sorry, here's why the situation happened, right? Dealing in facts, not emotions. So keep it simple, explain that position. You're still not saying they're right or wrong, but you can apologize for that situation. And again, that's just taking it down a notch. So then we can roll into my favorite thing that I like to call practice service recovery. Because you want to keep that customer coming back. In most cases, I'm not going to say that you won't occasionally have the person that you've decided maybe you want to fire that customer, but in most cases, you do want to keep that customer back. So how do you win back their trust? How do you reestablish the relationship? You want to just reassure them. I'm with you on this journey. I can fix this. We're going to do our best to make this right. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make them entirely happy, but you want to let them know what you're going to do to help get to that resolution, that you're going to fix it. And then you can start digging into the facts. You've perhaps now stated your position, your facts, but you want to ask questions of them. Because when people get upset, they generally start, they're big and broad. This always happens. This location is always doing this to me. This is the worst day ever. And it just, again, it gets big and nebulous. You want to try to bring them back in. And I will ask a million questions. Well, can you tell me exactly what happened? Can you tell me who you spoke with? Can you tell me, when did you go to this place? Give me all the details. The more, the better, right? And that will help them kind of bring it back in a little bit, sort of bring down the response. And you can also figure out what it is exactly that they truly want. Someone can come in very upset. You just want to make them go away. So you come up that there has to be this big, huge, I've got to refund all their money. I've got to do all of these things. They might have a simple solution. So you've got to ask them, what what makes it right for them. They may not want all of their overdraft fees. They may just want one fee, or they just might want that apology. They just might want to be heard and to hear someone say they're sorry, yes, we messed up. So when you're gathering the data to get that customer's point of view, ask, what will make this right? And again, you may not be able to do everything that they want, but at least you've got a better sense and maybe you can meet them halfway. And then don't forget to thank them, because you do want to keep them as a customer. You do want to keep them coming back. You want them to feel good about the situation, even if maybe it started off not so great. They gave you an opportunity. They gave you a chance to practice that service recovery and show them that you do care about their business. So don't forget to thank them. As part of that thank, assure them of the follow-up. If you're not able to resolve in that moment, which a lot of times we can't, we don't always have magic wands. We might have to dig into a problem, ask other people what happened, but let them know, we appreciate this. We appreciate this opportunity. Here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to follow up with you in a couple of days. If you don't hear from the person that's supposed to reach out to you, please let me know. This is when you can expect to see this additional documentation. Whatever it is that's part of the problem, make sure they understand a timeline. Because again, I think we've all been in that situation where the customer service agent said, yeah, we've taken care of it. And then you still don't see the refund in your account. You still don't get whatever email you were waiting for. And then you've got to call back again. And you've got to call back again. Let that be on you. That's how you practice good service recovery, is you take ownership of the issue. So before I go on, does anybody have any questions? There'll be time for questions at the end, but any questions online or comments? Or anybody in the room? Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're still going to stay in this whole complaint, unhappy customer, because there are going to be times when you cannot do what the person wants you to do. You cannot give them the resolution that you're seeking, and they may choose to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. There are going to be times that they never even give you the opportunity. They don't have to. We suggest that people reach out to the business, but they are not required, and they may go straight to the Better Business Bureau to try to get some sort of resolution. Anybody, just curious, anybody ever filed a complaint, had a complaint filed? Let's see if anybody, no?
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Long time ago?
Mhm.
How long?
Oh,
Roughly, you don't have to give me.
okay, I would say roughly 25 years ago.
Okay, so it's probably changed a little bit since then.
Yes.
Although true story, I'll diverge just for a second. We recently closed our physical office in Springfield. That's where I'm based out of. And I found dispute resolution manuals from the 1970s still in boxes. And I'm like, somebody's got to want this. This is like great archival material. Like, this is cool. I didn't read all of it. Didn't really have space in my brain for all that, but it has changed since then. So I want, again, got to give you a high level overview of what that process is, so you're not taken off guard. People kind of freak out. They're like, oh my gosh, the Better Business Bureau, they complained. Often because they think we're a government agency. We're not, just FYI. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning. We're a not-for-profit. We are not a government agency. We're not out to just randomly show up at businesses and investigate them. That's not how the complaint process works. A consumer has to come to us. Sometimes people panic when I show up at their businesses, and I have to reassure them, like, no, I'm just here to get a tea. Like, I'm not here to like inspect you or anything like that. So no, it's when consumers come to us. So there's a couple ways. There's more than a couple ways actually that consumers come to us to file a complaint. Now, often what will happen is they'll go to the business's Better Business Bureau profile. This is, of course, an example. This is one we set up for tests, so we don't have to put somebody's real profile up there. But again, any business that we know about has a profile, because that's a big part of our mission, to give consumers the education they need to make choices. We're not here to endorse one specific business or another. We just want to give you the information and give a platform for consumers to leave reviews and to file complaints. So again, if somebody wants to file a complaint, that's one way they can do it. Another way someone can file a complaint is to go to bbb.org/file a complaint. This actually helps us filter a little bit, because sometimes people will want to file a complaint when it's really a review. It's a bad experience. Sometimes it's a scam. See a lot of those. We have a whole separate system called Scam Tracker for those. So this just helps us filter a little bit. Complaints about warranties actually go to a different area because we do a lot of vehicle warranty disputes and resolution. We do a lot with that with Autoline. So this just kind of helps us filter a little bit. Even if there's not a BBB profile for a business, a consumer can go here and do that. And then we'll just start creating that profile. So even if it's a business we don't know about, they can file a complaint. We still have paper forms. I still get paper forms in the mail. I recently had a contact from a Missouri State professor who's in Germany, and she's having problems with someone that is supposed to sell her stuff. Apparently, this does not work out of the United States. So I had to send her a PDF copy of the complaint, and she's going to send it back to me. So we will make sure we get that complaint. We have a team of folks who work the phones, who will take the complaint over the phone. Most of them come through online, but we will take it just about any way we can get it. People sometimes just write letters, and I get letters in the mail, and we'll just turn it into a complaint. There are some things, though, that we have to accept that complaint. We don't accept anonymous complaints. We have to have a full name with postal address or postal code and email. So like I said, sometimes I'll get letters and they will not have all the information. They'll come with like a PO box or something that I don't handle the complaints, so I know that they need a little bit more information. Or somebody will send an email more often than not and say they want to file a complaint, and we have to get like their postal codes. We just have an email address. So we don't take anonymous complaints. Somebody's complained, they're going to have to say who they are. Also, there has to be a marketplace relationship. So again, it can't just be bad service necessarily. It needs to be some sort of exchange or even the desire. So even if money doesn't change hands, it can be a desire to do business with somebody and something goes wrong. They also have to seek assistance. So there has to be a desire for a resolution. I want my money back. I want this fixed. They started the job. I want them to finish the job. They're holding my car hostage. There has to be some sort of action they want us to take. We are also not going to take complaints that take abusive language or threats. We're not going to do that. Nobody should have to do that. And we will also not take any complaints if there's already litigation. So if you've already engaged an attorney, we are not going to get involved in that. That is beyond that. So those are some of the basic criteria for filing a complaint with BBB. Now, if you're the business, and they go, what does that mean to me? The consumer files a complaint. Locally, we have 3 people that are processing those, and they're going to turn that around and get to the business within 24 hours. So if something happens, you're going to know about it very quickly. And then basically the business, you have 14 days to respond. We give you 7. If we don't hear from you, we're going to give you another 7. We're going to reach back out. This does vary a little bit from BBB to BBB. There are offices all over the country. I think a little over 100 offices throughout the US and Canada. So we're going to give you that 14 days to respond. Hopefully you respond. We're going to talk a little bit about why you should respond in just a minute, because people sometimes do not. So after that, we're going to go back to the consumer. We're going to give them the response. They have 7 days to accept or reject, because remember, you're not pie. You're not going to make everybody happy. We hope they accept it. We hope you've made, as a business owner, a good faith effort to try to come to a resolution. If they do accept it, then we'll close it. It's all done. And I get those emails a lot, actually. I get an email that says, the business has refunded my money. This has happened. Please go ahead and close out my complaint, even before the 14 days is up. And that can certainly happen if the business just takes care of it and you're done. We're not even going to wait. We're just going to close it out. But the consumer can say, nope, I don't like that answer. They can come back with a rejection, and we'll go back to the business and say, okay, here's what they said. Give them another 7 days. Business responds. Maybe now we can get to a resolution. We can close it out. Maybe they reject it. Consumer goes back, says, no, we're just going to take the 2 times. We're going to close it out. Obviously, we're not meeting, right? And a business isn't required to do that. They're just asked to make a good faith effort, particularly if they're an accredited business. For our accredited businesses, we do offer mediation and arbitration services at no charge. So in some situations, that can be a helpful tool, and we're going to offer that to them to try to get to that resolution. But it doesn't always happen. We want it to happen, but it doesn't always go there. So that's kind of high level process of the complaint process at BBB. Anybody have questions on that? Beautifully colorful flow chart, isn't it? You can't take credit for that. Any questions at home from our viewing audience?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Keep an eye.
That's okay. Let me show you kind of what that looks like on somebody's profile. So we don't publish complaints to a business profile until it's been closed. So that back and forth, we don't see any of that until we get to the end. We take out employee names, personally identifying information. This is not about, again, taking it personally, a specific employee. We're going to redact any of that. But we want it out there publicly so people can see when they're trying to compare services, what that complaint history looks like. They will roll off after 3 years. So they do stay out there for a while, but eventually they will disappear and go away. So it won't stay there forever. So that's just a little bit of what that looks like. Why you should answer. You should answer. I think not just BBB complaints, but Google reviews and Yelp reviews. People want to see your side, right? They want to see that you're responding. There was a survey, and I apologize now, I can't remember where the survey was, but 7 out of 10 people said that they, even if it wasn't their complaint, that a business responding to the complaint made them feel like they cared and wanted to do business with that company. So just showing up, people are looking for that. This is your chance. From a BBB perspective, it's going to help protect the rating. So every business that we know about, that we set up a BBB business profile, has a rating, letter grade, A+ to F, just like school. If you don't answer, that can deduct up to 40 points off your rating. That can drop your rating pretty quick. Doesn't have to be resolved to the customer's liking. Again, you're not high, not gonna make everybody happy, but make a good faith effort. That's what we're asking, and be open and try to work with the person filing the complaint. I'll tell you right now, there's a business in Springfield that we have an investigation person who handles patterns of complaints. So if we see a business that's like constantly churning complaints, part of what BBB does is issue consumer warnings to say, you might want to be extra cautious, right, dealing with this business. So he's looking at this, and this business, they're based out of Springfield, but they do a lot of online retail. And we're starting to see these complaints come in and they're not answering. And if they don't answer, we're talking A, probably down to a D, like that. And so if you're comparing two companies, A, D, you're probably going to go with the A. I don't want to see that happen to them. I may make a little house call and be like, could you please just answer? That's all you have to do. You don't have to do everything perfectly. Just try to answer them. So you want to answer them to try to protect that rating. But you also want to answer because it is your chance to tell your side of the story. There's always at least 2 sides of the story, sometimes more. And you want to show that you've made the effort. I know that when I'm looking at somebody and looking at their reviews, I like go to the 4-star reviews. Does anybody else do that? Like stay away from the 5, go for like the 4 and the 3. I want to see the reality. I want to see like, okay, this wasn't perfect, but here's what happened. Okay, this wasn't a perfect experience, but the business showed up and tried to make it right. That makes me feel better. Like if I'm going to say, hire somebody to paint my house, I want to know if something goes wrong, they have a history of saying, yes, I will fix this. That makes me feel like I can trust them. So it's your chance to show your side of the story. It's your chance to say, yes, I will show up and make this right if there's a problem. That's a great way to start with trust. And just shows customers you care, right? You could save a customer. It's a lot less expensive to keep a customer. to work on retention than to try to get a new one. This was a HubSpot study that said, let's see, 5%, improving retention 5%, to drive up profits over 25%. That's a pretty good return on investment if you're a small business person, to try to keep that customer as opposed to always trying to get out and churn new ones. And we love those happy long-term customers because those are the testimonials, those are the referrals. Again, as a former small business owner, referrals are the best. You tend to know that those are the people that you're going to enjoy working with because they come from people you enjoy working with. You want those people, the people that do marketing, you want those really great testimonials. And those are going to be from those customers that are long-term, that you've built those relationships with. So it is about retention. That is huge. Little tiny bit about BBB accreditation. Just kind of want to share how this can just add a little bit to that BBB business profile, right? So it's something that we offer. We are not for profit. We do all of this because of our member dues, members that say, yes, we align with your mission. We want to be a part of this. It does help build that customer trust, shows that you care because you've got that seal. We go through this vetting process. You can't have unresolved complaints. You have to have at least a B. You have to have all the proper licenses, everything in place. You have to have been in business for at least 6 months to go through this vetting process. So this is just something additional a business can do, just to say, you know what, we're starting from this level playing field. We're starting already with a commitment to trust, and that can go a long way too. And my slides are out of control. I think we're question time. Q&A. Do we have any questions from our home audience?
We do.
Oh, good.
Justin was wondering if there are any more penalties besides a drop in a grade.
For unresolved complaints?
Yeah.
That is a great question. So there are not any penalties. We're not a regulatory agency. So we're not going to fine you. We're not going to, print other than a warning if you have a history of unresolved complaints, right? So for example, I'm trying to think of a warning that we've issued recently. I'm trying to think, I don't think there's been one in Springfield recently, but we've had certain contractors in the St. Louis area that continually, oh, I lied. There's a roofing company and he was in the news again recently that just kept taking people's money. Like, I mean, to me, that almost borders more on scam than legitimate business. And so absolutely, we're going to issue a consumer warning because he just kept taking money, not doing work, all over, setting up different businesses. So no, long answer to that is no, we're not a regulatory agency. The only time we issue warnings is if you continue to have complaints unanswered from consumers, then we're going to share that.
Thanks.
We have another one, or do we want to go to the room?
That's all I got online right
All
now.
right, let's go to the room.
Okay, Sheila, for the accreditation for your business, what does it cost to get that done?
Excellent question. Depends on the number of full-time employees that you have, but I believe the annual base membership as of right now starts at $555 a year. I believe it's $555 or $565. It just went up, just like everything, just went up slightly. So, but it does depend on the number of employees that you have. And we can divide that up too. It's not something you have to pay annually. You can pay it monthly, you can pay it quarterly. I think it comes out to like $47 a month or something like that. So other questions?
It seems like you guys mediate, but then you said those that are part of your accreditation get mediation services. Like what additional things would they? I'm
Great
not quite
question.
Understanding.
And I probably misspoke a little bit about that. So yes, you're right. We're going in, we're kind of mediating back and forth, right? But we have arbitration. So we have arbitration professionals who will step in certain situations if both parties agree to come to the table. If that seems like a fitting situation, that will actually come in and do that at no cost. So the mediation is that back and forth in the complaint process. Arbitration is when we actually bring in that professional to do that.
Is the arbitration included in the annual fee?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, there's no additional cost for arbitration. Yes.
From a customer's point of view, when a customer is complaining and they've gone through the channels, but still there's no resolve, do you guys deal with big name corporate businesses? Is
Yes.
Anything you do?
So it goes to the BBB where the company's headquarters are. So let's just throw out like Best Buy. Not that I know anything about their complaint history, but they're headquartered, I believe, in Minnesota. So it's gonna go to that BBB and they will work through those complaints. Yes, so it's not just small businesses. And also various BBBs can, I'm trying to think of the right word, but take over for a whole company. It may not necessarily be where they're headquartered. So for example, since our BBB does a lot of stuff with Autoline, which is the vehicle warranty, we also take a lot of, we handle everything for enterprise. So if somebody has a complaint against enterprise, we also take that. So sometimes different BBBs can be like, we're just going to take on all the stuff for like a franchise. A lot of enterprise, I think, are franchise. So it's where it's headquartered. So if somebody in California has a complaint against Bass Pro, it's going to come to us. Right? So it's just about where they're headquartered.
Is it always for profit or not any nonprofit?
I don't understand the question.
Can a nonprofit be a member and be listed?
You know what? So, yes, and. It's gonna kind of depend on where that needs to fall, kind of depends on what kind of nonprofit it is.
Mhm.
So for example, Chamber of Commerce, so those are kind of nonprofit trade organizations, they're members, right? So they can be accredited businesses. We also have something called charity review. And so that's not so much about complaint, but that's about, if you've ever gone to give.org, that's BBB. And we have a whole charity review vetting process so people can see how a charity operates and make sure that their donations are being used in the most efficient way and going to the programs that they're told those programs are going to go to. So that's a whole other aspect of the charity review. I love all the other questions.
I wonder if you have any advice on, so you mentioned, responding to Yelp reviews or Google reviews. How do you respond without turning it into sort of like a back and forth argument, or even thinking about like Facebook comments, like say a business posts a Facebook post and then somebody comments on something, maybe not even a complaint about the business, but I don't know. I'm just wondering how you respond and show up, but don't sort of turn it into an argument.
And it's tricky, right? It gets trickier and trickier and trickier all the time. So first of all, what I have noticed and what's been my experience and kind of in my previous life working with some other small business owners, often you'll say, I'm so sorry you had that experience. Can you tell me more? How can I help? Crickets. Right? So if it's somebody just spouting off, venting, a lot of the time they're not going to respond. So you've done your part, right? You've offered that resolution, and then try to take it offline as quickly as you can. So, I'm so sorry I had this experience. I'll find your information. I will call you. What's the best way to contact you? Try to get it offline, and then try to bring it in that more calm setting and get it offline as quickly as possible. Anything else? All right, I appreciate the opportunity. I am always available for questions. If somebody does need anything, the number at the top, that's our main line. So any kind of assistance, complaints, information about accreditation, anything at all, you can call the main line. And then of course, I'm available as well. That's my office number. If you do want more information about accreditation, you can go to Get Accredited, bbb.org, Get Accredited. And then we have our Business HQ, which is just this huge toolbox of resources just information on different tools and tricks to help your business at any stage. What do we say? You say it again.
Idea to exit.
Idea to exit, yes. I don't want to steal that, but I love it. I will give full credit. I will do that. So we have all sorts of resources that you can use. And we even have a new kit. I actually didn't get put on here, but it's bbb.org/newbiz, the design for anybody that's just getting started. And kind of here's some things you need to think about. And those are all free resources as well. So if anybody does have any questions, need anything, please feel free to reach out at any time. I'm happy to help.
Thank you.